And now, part 2, politicking, a conversation with Jesse James and Rocchead.
Prison was really ran by inmates.
It is.
They had the right positions.
Yep.
Prison was back then was really ran by inmates.
Yep.
And it was an ugly reality because in San Quentin, the stories, you go to the shoe yard, you come to your cell, one hand here, one hand been held, a Mexican coming up under your bed while the police hold your arm.
Yep.
Oh, it was that bad for us.
That's why Tommy Gunn was an AC, remember? You asked me about Tommy Gunn? I said he was like famous in jail. Yeah, that's how he went to AC. He did the same move.
Where was Tommy Gunn's from?
Stevenson Village, Carson.
That's how bad it was for us.
Yeah, you had that. It was just tactical, learning how to make weapons. Like when I was in Tracy, and it was us, I was untrained, so I was calling shots, but I was untrained, and I couldn't teach nobody how to make a knife or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I was untrained, and they was all little cool. All them dudes was under me, so Big Lebo. But at the same time, when we get to higher levels to people that are experienced, and they teach you how to do tactical stuff. Like working out on the yard, we used to have exercises where we had to put our hands behind our back and fall back in case we get in that situation. And we'll already be in shape to deal with it. You fall back and kick. They teach you how to do all that. And we needed all that, man. We needed all that because it was happening.
When you say they, who's they?
Talk about big homies that knew more than you. Because I feel like if somebody know more than you, then you big homie too, though.
Let me ask you this: Were the Crips that were being trained? Did you have to join the organization to be trained, or would you train uncut Crips?
No.
Well, first of all, you had to be on the Crip yard.
You're on the Crip yard. The thing about that, then, if you're on the Crip yard, we all as one.
Yep.
No matter if you're part of the organization or not.
Even when in the middle '80s, when a lot of the Blue Notes came to Folsom, and like I said, before in the late '70s, you don't get 50 to 100 people in one yard because the yards are no bigger than the length from here to probably the street. Yeah. You know what I mean? And no wider than here than your room. So that's all you got. So when more people start going in the hole, they start squeezing 100 of us onto the yard. Yeah. So when they start putting up Blue Notes and CCOs and the non-affiliates, it's like all we ask them look, this is what we do. We love your participation, et cetera, et cetera. And they say, hey, we want somebody after a couple workouts, can we have somebody run cadre? No problem. Hey, can we have somebody on security? And we just abide by it because we want what's best for all of us at that time. You know what I mean? If issues came afterward, it's because of all mental. Because sometimes we fucked up mentally. We make a lot of bad decisions based on what we think we know. But for the most part, in the beginning, all Crips on the yard, it was as one. We exercised, we trained.
Everything at one.
But again, the training didn't start coming for most of the homies until '83 on up.
Yeah.
Where did you guys learn this training from? Who
I learned from North Daniels.
Yeah.
Northern Mexicans top.
Experienced people that did. So I'm going to tell you one thing about Mexicans. Mexicans are very resentful. What you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Resilient. Like when a Mexican go in a cell, when I was in there, they would mess with stuff, sprinklers, and they'll be trying to find stuff to fight with. You know what I mean? They're not just gonna lay on there and read their book. They're gonna look for weapons.
They're gonna see if that zipper in your pants can cut something.
Yeah, I used to think I can draw until I seen some of their drawings. You know what I'm saying? So, but they're very resilient. You know what I mean? So, not knocking nobody or bringing nobody up, but you teach. I've learned from BGF. I've learned from Vanguards. I've learned because there's a lot of Vanguards in Tracy. My own ex-Crips saying I can't say cuz on a tier. Yeah, man.
It seems like the Crips were like uncivilized, and we got cultured through other groups.
What gangbanger is not uncivilized? It's a gangster and a gangbanger. A gangster's intelligence. A gangbanger is just a loose cannon.
I'll give you another example of what he said. Baby Rock and Ajax from Hoover, when they put me on that tier, they sent me a kite. Look at young homie, you young Rocchead from Compton, this is a Vanguard tier. We're gonna tell them move you off this tier because we don't want you a part of this. See, they didn't try to break, and that's why I respect them too right now today. They didn't try to say become Vanguards.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? They just said, you know, I'm gonna give that respect, and they just moved me because since I was a Crip, the police automatic felt that I should be on a tier with Vanguards who's half Crips and half Bloods.
half Crips, half Bloods.
You know what I mean?
I was up there with A. Jackson out there. He got out?
Rock out right now.
Ajax got out too?
No, not Ajax yet, but Rock got out.
Ajax probably get out. These new laws. But I was with them and Tracy.
It seemed like blacks had too many moving parts up in there.
You know what? We did because if the BGF, the Black Guerrilla family, and obviously it started when Raymond Washington was there.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? When Raymond Washington had issues with them, they just wasn't smart. They obviously looked down upon us.
Yeah.
So you look down upon, so every time a young dude, a young Crip comes to the prison, and you think a book gonna convince him to be a part of something, then you get the wrong kind of guy like I was, and it just don't work out. So I was uncivilized because I was already young, I was wild, I went through YA, Paso Robles, Nellis, Preston, I went to all of them, kicked out of YTS, and you know, the first guy stabbed motherfuckers in church and shit in TS. Stopped going off from going to church and shit. I mean, I was a wild card. So when I walk in and I see older homies like Hoover, Clarence Hoover, once I went to J-Wing, yeah, Clarence Hoover and all of them, they was already mentally toned. But they didn't come to me and say, look at your homie, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm not doing now, but maybe you can slow down and function like it. No one did that. And it was Pumpkin, Sadiqi from Long Beach.
Sadiqi, yeah.
I mean, we were just young cats with no guidance. And the only time that Clarence really intervened with me, when I saw a police guard open the gate and say charge. I keep telling people this story. The police guard said charge, and every Mexican and white came out themselves, throwing brothers off the tier, stabbing. First time I saw a zip gun pointed at my face, didn't know what it was, but when it blanked, I lost it. And they had to drag me out of the unit. Because I wanted to stay, I'd rather stay and get stabbed or die in that unit, but Clarence still grabbed me and pulled me out. They said, it's not the time. I didn't understand. I'm looking at them dudes like, nigga, y'all from college, fuck you motherfuckers, because I'd rather be in there than this fucking hallway. That's how much I wasn't thinking.
What year did you parole?
I paroled the first time in 80 and went back in 81.
When's the last time you paroled?
On my last time, 92.
You never been back since?
No.
When's the last time you paroled, Jeff?
91.
You been back?
Nope.
What you been doing since 91, bro?
Working my ass off. Working, bro. And you know, what I do now, you know, move around all around the United States trying to talk to these young dudes, because just like everything that he's saying, now they don't know it.
They don't.
Because you have people that didn't know it back then or rejected it back then that's teaching them. Most of the people that start these gangs out of town, they wasn't even really from the hood. They was just in the hood. Like, they didn't come on corny. They couldn't come on corny. So when they went out there, they taught them rules that was wrong.
You're talking about out-of-state PBG sets?
Oh yeah.
They're out there.
Thousands.
You got thousands of Crips, period, in different hoods.
Yeah.
Other than the real dope dealer was from the hood, went out there and people kind of gravitate.
That's
but most of them, I mean, we had a snitch started to count the Crips in fucking the Portland, Oregon.
Yep.
And when I went out there with Jim Brown, and they said, who started y'all? Y'all claiming Compton? Nigga walked out and said, nigga's a rat. In front of his whole owner, fuck that. Nigga looked at me, motherfucker told me, we don't know what he did in Compton, but he our big homie out here.
Yeah, yeah.
Them are the attitudes that these guys are taking.
Yeah.
What was Clarence Hoover from when you was in there?
Ooh.
I met Clarence Hoover when I first hit the county jail.
What was he
He
claiming?
kicked my ass. I didn't know what he was. You know why? Because this is why. They was having a meeting. It was Turtle from Avalon, Missy J, and Clarence Hoover. I walk in, blue rag, that's when we wear the blue rag, blues on. I walk in like this, walk in their crowd, through them, like kind of like bumping on, like disrespectful. They were like, where you from, man? I said, Playboy again. Now they don't know what That's the first time they hear this in their life. I'm thinking in my mind they should know. They came in my cell with the prison boots on that night, bro. I had to get out.
So are you still based in LA?
No, I'm in Virginia.
You're in Virginia?
Mhm.
How long you been out there?
9 years. Because I could walk to the store and I'd just be the old man.
And even that's man, is like when I went to the county jail, when I ran into Big U, a little skinny, tall little dude, he was skinny too.
When he wouldn't work out?
He worked out. Oh, hear that shit he talking. He got out. He learned some shit too. But even then, a lot of cats didn't know. And most of them were scared of paperwork. Then everybody who came from prison, who was older, who could have topped them, all they cared about was the money. Making money and going back. You know, as we know, they was bailing out of county jail.
Yeah.
You know, they making that kind of money in county jail back then. People don't talk about it, but county jail was a money-making machine. But the guys wasn't teaching. So when I went down there, I taught. I didn't care what hood you was from. I chastised some motherfuckers, you know, but I taught because I wanted to mentally prepare them what they had to go through once they go through that system. And if you got big homies or older homies or OG homies, if he's not teaching you, then what's the fuck the purpose? They wasn't taught that 4800. I mean, all of them motherfucking crips.
They wasn't.
And they was like gravitated around me like, what's that, homie? Ooh. And I'm teaching them how to make knives, teach them how to keister. I'm teaching them whatever I can so they can take that trade with them to better prepare themselves. Because most wars that happened behind that wall in the early 80s, most of the homies got hit because they didn't know how to. It ain't about this.
No.
Their instinct is this.
Yeah.
Masters in
They're going right there.
You get what I'm saying?
They're going right there.
So they don't know that. So now when you prepare them and they get attacked by 2 or 3 people, they can at least have an idea of how to defend themselves and not take a fighting stand, but take a defensive stand where you maneuver certain things away from you. Right. And they wasn't just taught, man. And that's what really hurted me when I saw all them youngsters wanting to learn how to do burpees. I taught so many homies how to do burpees in the county jail, and Big U was one of them. I love you, Big U, but you was one of them.
But you know, when I got stabbed, when I told y'all I got stabbed in the face, I got stabbed right here in the face, and I got stabbed right here. See, they going for eye and lung. These was penitentiary niggas. These was penitentiary bloods. And so I'm just fresh in here, just, you know, like we you know, just fighting. They don't want to fight. They didn't want to do this. Like I had one of them still had him. And the police came, he like, let me go, Jesse. I said, no. You know, y'all been kicking my ass all this time, I ain't letting you go.
Are these UBN bloodlines or not?
Yeah, that's all that was up there. But these were more just, like he said, you have paperwork, but then you have regular people. And then people that, like I've been asked on the yard to be over the regular Crips. Cause you know they aren't under paperwork, so they don't feel obligated. So since I was, when you got influence like that, you can still be like, hey homie, this is what we do. We exercise, we you know, we study, we do this, you know, and they respect it.
Did any PBGs join Blue Note or CCO?
No.
Damn.
Not that I know of. Like I said, when they first came to the pen, I was already there, and they asked me.
See, but they had somebody. They can say that. Let me tell you, he can say that shit comfortably. In my history, I don't ever remember a PBG being from CCO. I can't speak for others. But again, they had him to go to. A lot of guys ain't got that. You hear all Compton Crip, okay, Compton's gonna be automatic CCO. You had a couple of Compton Blue Notes. 60s, same thing. That's what you know because all the heads represent these functions.
Yes, sir.
You know, you deal with Blue Note, you say, oh, okay, it's all Raymond. No, it wasn't all Raymond.
No.
It was a combination of a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, if you don't have that person you can reach out to, hey, homie, we have an issue, man. You know, they want me to move. I told all my homies, don't go on the paperwork.
Nope.
I told mine. Those who did still did. I've never embraced anyone under forbidden CCO member, because I was.
Whiskey just passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a CCO?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was my homeboy, my comrade, my friend, my family.
He was on. I was on the Blue Note yard with Turtle, which is his brother, and Whiskey was on the CCO yard.
Was Turtle a Blue Note?
No,
No, Turtle was a crip.
I wasn't either, but I was on the Blue Note yard. See,
So-
you got these.
so
they look at your letter. They read your letters. They see who you talking to. They intercept kites,
And that's how
so they know. They build your profile up.
It's like another thing. Where it was, you go through Chino, go to San Quentin with a C machine before CCO.
Yeah.
The C machine or Blue Magic, period.
That's it.
And I told him I got enemies in Folsom. So I want to be where all the Crips at. I'm a Crip. When the motherfucker get off the bus, they pull up in Folsom. I saw all the blood exercising across the yard.
I
This ain't no San Quentin.
police.
You know?
The homies would write me back when they opened up the shoot program, Pelican Bay and Coker. They was like, "Don't come up here, Jeff." Because I had like 3 of them on staff. They pulled them to the side, burning them with cigarettes, spitting on them, slapping them.
Man, Folsom shooting, they used to bring them fire hose and
Yeah.
water hose us down with fire hose.
Imagine you being the parole board reading everything that we talked about already. So they was like, "You can't come out here." They was like, "We just start gang banging in Fresno Diamonds or Hoovers. You can't come out here." You know, so I had to go back to LA, which I didn't want to do. So I stayed with Pops right there in Culver City.
I was gonna ask you about that. When you moved to PBG hood from Harlem, did Pop still stay in Harlem and own that house?
No, he was the first one to move over there. He moved over there and he was living with his new girl, and we went to Texas. And when we came back, me and my sister went to live with him, and then Lil Jeff stayed with Mom.
What street did you guys live on in the 30s?
In the 31st and Gramercy, right down the street from James Miller. When he was in the boys' home.
Oh, that's where the boys' home was over there?
Back to the boys' home.
Yeah, him and Lefty. Yeah, but they used to hang, where they used to be, like on the 30s, right across the street from Cadillac Gym House. That was Melvin, Earl and Melvin and all them, Dead-Eye Sydney's brothers and all that. Yeah.
You was 2 seconds away from being from Harlem, buddy.
I know that what they keep on. Big Bob been trying to tell me that all my life.
Big
Have you ever heard the name Jed Rodell?
Jed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard of a Jed. From Harlem, though?
Yeah.
Not from Harlem, no.
All the names you named, that's who we ran with.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I know that. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I know. Damn,
Michael
that's
Jackson.
a long time. You talking about, he was way back in the day. Yeah, he was with Dead-Eye Sydney and all that. Yeah. But I wasn't approaching them cats back there. Them niggas was crazy. Cadillac Jim was my schoolmate, so I go over his house. Let me tell you something crazy. I go over, when I moved to the hood, went through PVG, went through all my life, came back to Cadillac Jim house about 30, 40 years later, went to his door. His mom said, "Hi, James." But I never even really remember talking to her that much, but she knew exactly. It just like blew me away, you know what I'm saying?
So you went to elementary school over there?
Yeah, 36th Street School, yep. Some of them dudes grew up just like you thought they was, especially Cato crazy ass.
So now we're in Virginia. What are we doing in Virginia? And explain Virginia.
Starting the PPGs all over now. You only filmed that the joke.
Hey, look, when you was on the AC, your home, what was your yard like? Did you go to the yard by yourself?
No, it was the whole crib yard.
So the dudes on death row was on the yard with you?
Yeah.
What was the demeanor and attitude of these guys on death row?
They
Knowing they facing death and not coming home.
wasn't tripping on it. Some of them was. Like old boy, I remember old boy that killed them people in Bob's Big Boy, Ricky Sanders, I think he was from Paradise Crip, that's West Boulevard. He was still saying, but he wasn't tripping on it. But I go, man, all y'all had was a robbery. Why y'all killed everybody? I didn't do it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
don't
ask
need
you
to
that.
talk.
I thought he was from PBG because it happened in y'all hood.
Yeah, it did. But he was from Paradise Crip. That's like a before West Boulevard. That's why I said they the oldest ones over there, really. Considered like past Crenshaw, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Ricky Sanders. Prince. That's what they call it.
Remember, we was trying to figure out where this dude was from.
Yeah.
Someone told me it's from Paradise, though.
But they don't have it like treachery and evil. They don't trip on that stuff. No, you couldn't even tell. If you talk to them,
Them dudes were saying that they were the same way they was in Hawaii.
yep,
Them some righteous,
Snub
good
down.
motherfuckers.
Snub down.
I don't
They
care
looked
about
out for me.
politics or nothing.
Yeah.
Them dudes stayed loyal to me 100%.
Yes, sir.
Even though I was CCO, them my boys. Always asking about them.
Yeah,
Some great dudes.
Yeah.
We did time. We got down together. And even when I was one and they was another, it never. A lot of us, because of what we represented for us oath-wise, it didn't break our internal relationship.
No.
A lot of people made it do it because of the fearful factor of what their leadership was saying. But for us, me, them was my guys.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because we touched on you had a relationship with Tookie. In there and on the streets, were you talking to him in 2005 to the lead up of his execution?
Yeah, all the way up to it.
What was his demeanor and conversations like in 2005, knowing death was right around the corner?
Took is the same. Was the same. I mean, like I said, he was on a whole different page. Rocchead know this. He was on some peace. He was on some clarity. You know, clearing his head type of thing. You know what I mean? Because he never expected them to turn it over. He never did. You know, like when a dude asked him, I forgot one of them speakers. He was like, "Oh, you scared to die?" He said, "How could I be scared of something I've never been?" You know what I mean? So he was clearing his head up. He was in a good space, man. You know, did you see that when they was giving him the needle? What he did?
No, I didn't.
They was missing, and he moved it over.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Did he become religious before he died? Did he accept Christ?
I wouldn't say her say Christ, but he told me, because I told him, you know, I'm preaching all that now, and then he was like, well, I believe in God, you know, so that's like.
He was more spiritual than religious.
Yeah, he never really got into the Jesus thing or nothing like that, because I know Tretch and them don't, they're not into that, so.
I'm not on either.
No.
Me either. Never have. I don't give a fuck what I did.